Is there an issue with finding data?
So the real problem is that there's no way that you can Google for data.
Yeah.
If you want to, the best that we've found have been things like Wolfram Alpha,
Yeah.
which I cover in the book, which is they've done a great job of curating data sources, but then you can't get the original bulk data sources that they were using, and if you want to do really interesting computations on the data, you really need a much more raw level of access to that sort of information. So that's the real problem, is there's bits and pieces of data that you can get out there, but if you want to do interesting work with it, you really need to know where the little hidden sources of information are.
Sure. So, and I need to read this one verbatim because it's a clunky phrase, so follow along with me on here. But is it better to build a tool and then locate data to run through it, or find the data and then customize the tool?
So right now, because all of these public data sets are only emerging, the risk is that you're going to run, you're going to build your tool hoping that there's going to be information that you need, and then you're going to get to the end of building the tool and realize you can't get the data set. So I definitely recommend people look around, figure out what data is actually available, and keep an eye, because new stuff is coming up all the time, and then sort of, figure out how that matches with the problems that they want to solve, the problems their customers have.
Okay, interesting. So is there a way, because throughout these interviews, people have been mentioning how messy data is an issue that they're running into, particularly unstructured data. Is there a way to avoid that? Are there certain keywords or phrases or types that you can look for, like an API, for example? If you see API, can you be a little bit more comfortable that the data you're getting is less messy?
You can. I mean, I think the real answer is if you figure out how to clean up a data set, open source that code to clean it up, like leave a trail of breadcrumbs for the people coming after you. And very often you'll find, if it's a popular data set, if you look at the projects that are out there on GitHub, if you do a search, especially on GitHub, and do a search for the API name, you'll very often find, or the bulk data set name, you'll very often find these really interesting projects where people have done the heavy lifting for you to get it into a structured form. But yeah, that's, I mean, to be honest, the biggest thing that takes the most time with all of these data sources is doing the extraction of the information that you need.
Right.
Whether it's completely unstructured text or semi-structured HTML or even JSON, even if you're getting JSON or XML, you still have to spend a bunch of time scratching your head.
Right. So last question I have for you, switching gears a little bit. Can you tell me a little bit about OpenHeatMap? What is it and what do you aim to do with it?
So give me a spreadsheet and I'll give you a map.
Okay.
That's kind of the promise of the service. The idea is there's a lot of people who have stories to tell with geographic data, and they've got this data in spreadsheets, but when they're confronted with a traditional GIS system, it's like a space shuttle control panel.
Sure. Yeah.
It's very, very intimidating, and people just don't make it through the even if they seem like fairly simple steps to people who know GIS, people can't make it through like formatting their stuff in the right way. So my goal is to have the computer do as much of that work for you as possible, and like take your very messy sort of unstructured spreadsheet and figure out what you meant.
Oh, okay.
And then turn it into a map that makes sense, that tells a story, and hopefully tells a story that you want to tell.
Interesting. Great. Well, thank you very much for being with us. Appreciate it.
Oh, thank you.